What's going on? What's going on, everybody? This is James Bush, your manversationist, and I'm with author, the man himself, Elam King, and the creator of the book, Understanding a Man, Empowering Women with Tools for Lasting Relationships. Elam, welcome, bro, welcome.
What's going on, sir? How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I came across your work through a mutual contact.
Okay.
I gotta get this. I gotta get them wrong because I saw the book and then I saw you did a webinar or podcast or something on the other. That's like,
Yes.
let me go on and reach out to her because we in that season right now.
Yes, sir.
where these things definitely have to be discussed.
Yes, sir.
So, the first thing I gotta ask any of my guests when they have a book with this title, why now?
Why what? I'm sorry, I was clearing my throat. I'm sorry.
When they have a book with this title, why did you write it? You know, what's the point?
Man. It's funny how it all came about. Just to give the elevator version, back in 2015, I was attending a women's conference with my wife, and so she was invited. I was invited as a guest to be on a panel. The name of the panel was called "Understanding the Mind of a Man" by Miss Adrienne E. Bell. Shout out to AB. It was down in Florida, and so I was only there for a 1 hour segment of the understanding a man, understanding the mind of a man. And so what we were going to do is we were just going to answer questions for about an hour. So ladies were asking questions and we were answering. So it was me and about 4 other gentlemen. I only knew one of the guys on the stage. Everybody else, I didn't even know them, right? And so now this is at 2:00, right? And so from 1 to 2, we all ate lunch together. It was about 150 people.
Right.
And so we ate everything that would put you to sleep. Okay. And then from from 2:00 on, for an hour we were answering the questions. And so at the end of that hour, I looked around the room and the ladies wanted to ask more questions. And I was just like, man, the mean age in the room was like 45. So I'm like, y'all should understand, man. Like, I don't understand. This is just some of this stuff is basic. Like, how don't y'all understand? Well, at that moment, I looked around the room and I was like, wait a minute. I think I see I'm going to go in. Now, let me back up by saying that the day before, when my wife and I arrived, we walked up to the first vendor that we walked up to was a book coach.
Okay.
And so actually my wife picked up the car. She was like, excuse me, lady, what do you do? She was like, I'm a book coach. And my wife looked at me. The reason why she looked at me is because we drove down to Florida. On the drive down there, maybe 2-3 hours earlier, we were just randomly talking. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to write a book one day. And she was like, well, your head is big enough. And I was just like, I just don't know what I'm going to write it on.
Right.
So if you look, everything transpired. I spoke it. Then first vendor that we walk up to is a book coach. And then the next day, and I looked around the room and I was just like, y'all really don't understand men. And that's what birthed the book. That's where it came from.
Wow. So
true story.
I mean, that's one hell of a story. So give me this, my brother. What has been the reception to the book so far, thus far?
Since I've been in the space, I think one person said that she didn't like it. Okay. It was one lady said that the book was whack, right? She was just like, I think it's sexist and all this and that. And at the time at the time she was living with her boyfriend, and thinking that they were going to get married. 3 years later, they're not together. But that's really the only guy, other than seeing one piece of feedback on Amazon. I mean, the feedback has been more of just of thanking me. Right. And it's very humbling because, I wrote it to just kind of, there were other pieces that applied there. A lot of women that don't have father figures in their home. And so they really, and, some of the basic things that you, James, or I just automatically know, they don't know it. They'll find it out from TV. Right. Or as my wife said, some of her friends' fathers, right? So I wanted to really, it's real baseline. Of course, there's a bunch of other topics that we could talk about, but there's 15 different chapters. I interviewed 24 men about various topics of the heart. And these are the type of men where Thanksgiving's coming around the corner. So if these type of men showed up, at your son or daughter's dinner table, you'd be like, excuse me, this is the type of man that, if you're, let's just say your daughter brought him home, you'll be like, oh, okay, great job. So these are just upward mobile men, and they just dropped a little knowledge, and I just happen to be there to catch some of it to share with the world.
So we got some research basis.
Oh no! Oh yeah.
I like that. I like that.
I could have wrote it myself, but it was kind of like, it would have been, you know how women are, you just the only one to think like that. So I was like, okay. And even the number 24 has a significance behind it. My dad's birthday is the 24th. When he was playing basketball in high school, he was number 24.
Okay.
His birthday is also, like I said, the birthday on the 24th. We grew up in our house on 24 Ross Avenue, Hackensack, New Jersey. And the reason why that I use 24 is because my father was supposed to go off and play basketball. He was really, really good in high school. But when the coach came to his house, he hid. He didn't want to, because he was about to step into an arena that was totally different from him. And so when I was writing this book, I'm a marketing major undergrad, right? I've been in sales my whole life. So I was walking into something I had never done before. So that 24 represents me stepping out there on faith and doing something I've never done before.
That's what's up, man. I'm definitely loving it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Elam King, author of the book, Understanding a Man, Empowering Women with Tools for Lasting Relationships. Elam, give us some of the articles in there that you notice that are just out there, blatant, that women should know. Come on, bro. You got to break bread now with that.
Hey, listen, so I say that one of the most popular chapters is We Didn't Tell You to Do That. And that's actually chapter 3.
Okay.
And in that chapter, what I did was I interviewed only single men, right? Okay. And so I was letting them tell you, since they're out here dating, right? The single men that are out here dating, because I had a combination of married and single men, right?
Gotcha.
And so in that chapter, only the single men spoke, and they were basically saying, like, there's a lot of things that women do out here, like, we don't even care about, or we don't even like. And society has made y'all think that we like it, and we really don't. Wow. They were talking about fake body parts, and this is, regardless of those, that might have had to do or make some enhancements based upon medical reasons, right? Outside of those, right? People who just, the butt shots. I can't find a guy that says he likes it. I can't find one.
Right.
Okay. Even when it came to, just certain things that women are doing, with regard to, they were talking about the eyelashes, right? They were just like, okay, I'm gonna say this to you, Jane, and see how you feel.
Okay.
She had beautiful eyelashes. Said no man ever. Did I lie anywhere in that? Have you ever heard a man say she had beautiful eyelashes?
I ain't never heard that, man. If anything, if anything, it looks like airplane propellers. I'm
trying to tell you, man. I mean, you just blink and they slap you in the face, right?
Like,
so I mean, and it's fine if you want to do that for, maybe you're going on an occasion, whatever the case may be. But if this is your everyday getup, the reason why this chapter is important is because off the top, when I come up to you, you want me to be honest. You want me to share with you who I am. You want me to open up my heart and be there for you, whatever the case may be, and don't lie, right? But from day one, you present me a lie.
Ouch.
It doesn't go together. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, we have to be cautious of even the actions and the things that we do and the things that we say, but also the things that we do. We want it to be reflective of the type of person that we want to be with. So you want him to be honest. You need to present yourself in an honest manner so that, you're kind of being consistent. That's inconsistent. Let me lie to you about what I look like, but make sure you tell me the truth, James. No, it doesn't work out like
that. You stepping on people's theology now, man.
Hey, man, listen, chapter 3 was saving money. So, Miss Independent, then chapter 2 is Miss Independent versus or Miss Codependent, right? Or Miss Interdependent, excuse me.
Hit that one.
Yeah, and so that one is this. I want to start off by saying, I'm not one of those type of individuals, and there's a lot of Elams out here that we don't, when it comes to you being great and rocking and rolling, do your thing, right? Whether girls rock or girl power, whatever, do your thing, okay, from a 9 to 5 perspective.
Right.
But when you cross that threshold, Okay, you have to understand that the structure that exists out there, it exists for a reason, right?
Okay.
And you know, you're hiring and firing and doing all that greatness all day long, absolutely fantastic.
Right.
When you cross that threshold, you're the VP. Okay,
Right.
you're the CMO, the COO. You can be a CFO. You can be all of them, but you're not the CEO. And you just have to understand that that structure exists for a reason. To whereas there's an accountability that goes with each level, right? And it's not that you're subservient. It's not that you are less than a man, whatever the case may be. In fact, in a home, the woman is actually the more powerful creature than the man, period. Guess who knew that? Your grandmother knew that, right? Well, perhaps your mom knew that, right? But this generation right now, what comes through right now is I bring the table to the table, and I can do the same thing you do, and see, that works out there. It doesn't work in here. Okay,
Right.
so in your plight to get great at the conference table, you lost what was necessary at the kitchen table. And I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. I mean, you managing your home, you're trying to turn around and act like a man and think like a man when it's going to take you your whole life to act like a woman and be like a woman. So when you switch that role up, you're confused now. Okay, so we're already not that good in communication and and maintaining certain things. And now you want to come be like me. Now you got the blind leading the blind. So at the end of the day, and a real man knows that his woman is the most powerful force in his home. Just you don't have to walk around saying it. And so that's why the more that I hit being Miss Independent, go ahead and do that. That's real good for your single life.
Right.
But when you are in a marriage, you are interdependent. You're interwoven, right? It's not it's not yours, mine, and whatever. It's ours, right? Ours, both of ours, right? And there's certain levels of leadership. Here's the thing, and one example that I use it now is like what women always saying now, women can do the same thing the man can do. Yeah, okay, really, James. Tonight, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, you're upstairs in the bed.
Right.
Okay, you laying there with your girl, your wife, whatever the case may be. A window breaks downstairs. Who's going downstairs, James?
You better go down there. That
James,
man
who's going down? Is the one that says that she's just like you going down there?
more likely.
Now that's when they'll immediately jump into feminine mode. Oh well, no, you go do it. You're the man. Whoa, 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 whoa. You got to take the good with the bad.
Right.
Yeah, you can't pick a struggle, right? You can't. Oh, I can do the same thing, but then the window breaks. Why don't you go? I'll go get the kids.
Right.
Now you want me to be in my role.
Gotcha.
So the roles go both ways, and some people don't, they get trying to stick people inside of a box. No, it's a structure, right? It's a covering, right? And particularly for my believers, it's a covering for a reason, right? And you got to take all the above that comes with it. You can't pick and choose and not buffet or Whole Foods. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not how this thing really works. You know, I'm bringing that up because I just asked.
Yeah, you already know the plug, man, dude. So here's my thing. Because you just touched on some beautiful topics right there. One, for the guys, because one I think is that some guys they drunk the Kool-Aid just a little bit, and they have somewhat gotten to this space where they feel that they must accommodate or appease that certain behavior in order to make a situation work. But the thing is that if the blueprint that you are utilizing is screwed up initially, the manufacturer part is not going to work totally altogether.
Absolutely.
And I think guys, we have to kind of get back to, okay, what are we doing?
Listen, now you're gonna get me hyped. Here's the thing. Everybody, for the Republicans that are out there, they got like make America great again. We need to make being a man great again. For some reason, every time that you want to step into your manhood, you can only go to a certain level because if you're too much of a man, it's toxic. It's what toxic masculinity, right?
Right.
But there's toxic femininity going on around here. Okay, you know what that is? It's every now and then you want to be a woman. Every now and then you want to be a man. You want to go back and forth between which one you want and I understand a lot of it because the oppression that has existed amongst women, even when we were growing up, right? What we taught as guys, right? Don't act like a what? Girl, right? Don't be weak like a what? Girl, right? Don't be emotional like a what? Girl, right? You got to play with the who? Boys, right? So even women came up in the same society, so it made being a woman look weak, right? So you have the men trying to be manly, saying don't act like this, right? And then you have the women that are being pulled over to that same side as if, hey, it's harder to be a man. Excuse me, it's so difficult to be a woman, and y'all men can't really understand it, whatever case. We can't. We have two different brains.
Right.
Okay. You have your brain. We have our brain. Guess what? It's the same amount of neurons.
Yeah.
But Mother Nature made our brains slightly bigger, not because we're better. Okay, that's just the way Mother Nature did it, right? But guess what? We do not think the same in multiple different categories.
True.
And so in our plight to understand each other, that's what we really should be doing versus trying to be just like the other person. You cannot be a man if you are a woman. I don't care what the scapula in your doctor's office can tell. You can't do it. No differently than I can never have a baby, ever.
True.
Okay? So take your time in your life to figure out how to be your gender.
Yeah.
Don't try to, it's hard enough to be your own gender. You don't want to come over here. You don't want to do
Man,
that.
man. Once again, we got Elam King, man. And he's laying down, man, some a masterpiece at this. I checked out something else about your book, and it's something that just grabbed me, because something I see with my clients: rejection. As it pertains
I was trying to wait for that one, but yeah.
No. We ain't got but so much time. I want to get right into it, because that might take a little while. Rejection as it pertains to sex.
Yes, and in this particular chapter, I only, I spoke mostly with married men.
Okay.
Because here was the interesting thing. There was no sense in talking to single men about it, because guess what? They have no idea what it really looks like.
They don't.
Okay. I mean, and it's a difference between being turned down, when you're in your single mode versus just being rejected. Okay. And so in that particular chapter, I want to read specifically the words that the men were saying, because here they are, you're thinking that you got married, whatever case would be, and then, you should never be rejected in this area. But the words that were used is hurt, alienated, isolated, unloved, and confused, right? Because you have this one resource, and this is what I like to share with ladies. It's kind of like, we can go all day long and fight lions and tigers and bears, whatever case would be, but it's like when you come home, you're plugged, there's only one area you can plug up to. It's like we're a Tesla, right?
Right.
We got to plug up in order to regenerate ourselves. And it doesn't have to always be intercourse, right? Okay. Intimacy, into me you see, right? So if you can see into me, right, then you should automatically know what is necessary and what is needed. And if you're tired throughout the day, and if you're tired every single day, ladies, my question to you is, what are you doing to ensure that when you hashtag family over everything, that you remember that during the day, that, hey, I need to save some of my tank for my life partner. For my life partner, because you know what, the kids are going to grow up and leave, right? The job is going to come and go, right? But this is your life partner, and when you're rejecting him, you're actually, it's no differently than your car. If your car doesn't get the gas, what happens? It ain't going nowhere, right? So you have to understand that the power that you have inside of yourself. So whereas if you are taking a look at that level of intimacy, and you are seeing into him, then it shouldn't even have to be a question of, he really shouldn't even be asking. You should just know. Just like you think he should just know you, okay? You should just know him, right? And if there's not enough gas in your tank, well, then maybe you need to pull up a little bit during the day, or maybe shift some things around so that you still have the energy to be there for your husband.
Now, Elam, there are some therapists out there that would just go against you on that just a little bit. Okay. They would say that it is the job of the man to kind of, rev up that engine. Start it early in the morning. Start with sending those sweet text messages, being able to, ingratiate that woman, making her feel special, making her feel like she's, the only one in the world, what if it's sending flowers or doing whatever needs to be done so that person feels, awesome, taking things off her plate. Basically what it was saying is, making sure the kids is put away at night, making sure there ain't no dishes in the sink, making the trash is taken out, making sure Fido in the cat box, or Fido and Feline and is all taken care of, the cat box is clean and everything. And it's a nice home to come home to when she plops down. And then they say that may be the recipe. That may be the main ingredients for you getting some action that night. But I'm hearing something different from you. What would you say to that, Mr. King?
Well, here's the thing. If that's the case, then why do my single men not experience this? Okay, because sex with a single person, married people, it's the action of it. If the mind always has to be just in that space, then why are my single dudes out here not even understanding what rejection is? So here you are, you've been running and gunning. He ain't been texting you all day. Okay, he hasn't. He hasn't. He texts you to say, I'm coming through. Now you went to work and you have little Johnny and you have all. So if it's something that has to happen, then why don't my single people understand it? That's the thing. Like, you can't say it's like that across the board. Now, is this something that's necessary? Yes. Is the responsibility of the intimacy inside of the relationship sit on some of the man? Yes. Does it also sit on some of the woman? Yes. Here's the thing. It's his job to get you there, just like it's your job to help him get you there, right?
Wow.
Or it's your job to get there by yourself. I understand women are electric ovens and men are gas ovens. I totally get that. Right? But sometimes you need to light your own a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe here's the thing. How about this? How about if you're seeing into him, you probably know that he probably wants intimacy later. So why don't you guide him throughout the day? Hey, baby, it'd be nice if, I was thinking about, us getting together later on, but I need you to help me get there. You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you keep in contact with me. Oh, see, now this is when people start playing Blue's Clues. Okay, and Blue's Clues doesn't work inside a relationship, so whereas you just think that he's just supposed to automatically know. We've got to get away from stuff like this. Everybody's grown until it's time to communicate. When it's inside of a relationship, all of a sudden you just expect the other person to know. No, okay, that's not the case. So just to answer your point, if that's the case, if revving up the engine has to always come from the man, why don't single men experience this? If somebody can answer that question, then we can go back and say, you know what, it's all on the man. But guess what? I ain't revved no engines when I was single. None. Can I come through is starting the engine right there.
Ding. I can't say that I've revved them either.
And guess what? That was before text messaging. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I couldn't even keep in contact with you all day. Come on now. You think your granddaddy and grandma, you think grandpa had a chance to reach out to grandma all day long and rev that engine up? Only thing they had was 2 tin cups and a string. So how did he get in contact with her?
Oh, man. I can't with you right now.
I'm just saying, who granddaddy reached out to their grandmama? Raise your hand if your granddaddy called your grandmama all day long and told her how much he loved her and all this and that, and then when she came home, and guess what? They was having the most kids back in the day. That's why it's called what? The baby boomer era, right? My dad got 13 brothers and sisters. You think my grandfather Get out of here, man. It's nothing but excuses. It's excuses.
Wow. So, I mean, from what you're saying, it's a narrative that is being put out for the reasons why things aren't happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is. And here's the thing. We have hundreds of years to prove it. When did text messaging come around? Maybe 20 years ago?
20 years ago? Yeah.
Where all them babies come from in the baby boomer era? Where they come from?
You're right.
Call your uncle and ask him, did he call his wife all day long? Call him. He didn't. How he gets them at the end of the night?
Wow. So let me go on this line though. So some people may push back on that a little bit and they'll say, well, Mr. King, but you know that women, highest educated demographic now, commanding more respect within the job corp and landscape, they're doing their thing. They're not the same women as it was before the World War II or even World War I. They're not just sitting home with pots and pans and, just being stay-at-home moms. It's a different animal. It's a different story these days. And so that may lend to why we see some of the things and the disconnect in homes and in relationships these days. What would you say to that?
So I want the first woman that raised their hand and say that they're stronger than their grandmother to come forward. Okay, come forward. Because we'll always revere the women from back in the day and their level of strength, right? So you stronger than them? Most of us have gotten weaker than the previous generation. Okay, so I think that's somewhere in the Bible as well. Okay, so at the end of the day, I'd have to push back on that. Are there different things that women have to deal with today? Yes, there are. This goes back to chapter 2, Miss Independent or Miss Interdependent. You have to pick, you have to pick which struggle that you're going to roll with. And if you want to go be great and stuff all like that out there, that's great. But just understand that our communities And one of the reasons why that understanding man, the reason of importance for me is that in order for us to improve our communities, we have to improve our families. In order for us to improve our families, we have to improve the individuals' components that are inside of the family. We can't just say we need better communities.
Right.
A community is made up of families, okay? People, right? So at the end of the day, you have the ability to go be great out there and be great in here. Is it work? Yes. Do people have to maybe more schedule sex right now versus it just magically deliciously coming up? Yes, you schedule all the other meetings. Why?
Whoa.
Why you can't schedule intimacy with your person? Okay.
Flag on the play. You said schedule sex. Now that's something I see across my couch where, you know, I have clients that come in and it's like, I just don't want to schedule sex or anything. That just would take all the interest out of it. Or that, and I'm just saying to myself, but y'all ain't doing it as it is.
I was about to say, you can't have both. Like you can't say, well, back in the day, you know, grandmama was sitting at home all day. So, okay, so what, you're going to be disrespectful to the housewives now? Because last time I checked, everybody who's a housewife talks about how difficult it is to be at home too. And they got like 10 babies there. So she's dealing with them 10 babies all day long.
Yeah.
Okay. So she had something to do.
Yeah.
And I had one television. There was no iPad. There was no nothing. It was one television. It was black and white and it was this big. Okay. And she happened to maintain them 10 kids all day long. And now here you come with nails done, hair did, everything, you know what I'm saying, done. And, you know, you have more convenience on certain areas as well. Right. Again, here's the thing. Is it the sexiest thing to always schedule it? No. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got the spontaneous pop off, whatever. But if y'all ain't doing it, what's wrong with scheduling it? Why? Is it because it's just the thought of scheduling it? Well, the thought of no is way worse than scheduling it. Trust me.
and
that word no don't feel good. I would rather be on the calendar, boom, pop up. Okay. Tuesday at 7 o'clock, we're going to get it on. Do you know what that man will do between today and Tuesday? See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you want that intimacy throughout the day? Schedule your sex. Schedule your. I'm going to challenge the women listening. Schedule your sex for this week of September. For the week of September, okay. Schedule your sex from the 6th to the 12th, and make sure it's on your man's calendar. Watch how he acts this week. Watch how he acts.
I'm trying to look at that. All right, gotcha.
I mean, you know, hey, it's just it's some things. You know, we're willing to adapt and say things are different. Where things are different and things are different.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Definitely.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with. You think your man gonna be mad that you scheduled Tuesday at 7:30? Try it. I bet you he won't be like, when are you going to schedule it? He's going to be like, yo, like, can Monday hurry up and go by? You know what I'm saying? And do you know how he's going to act all day Monday? Do you know how he's going to act? Oh, my gosh. That's what I'm saying. So it's so simple that we miss it because as humans, we're always thinking that something's supposed to be so esoteric and so, you know, big or whatever case may be. No. Schedule intimacy.
So what I'm deriving from you, my bro, and we got, ladies and gentlemen, we got Mr. Elam King, Understanding the Man, Empowering Women with Tools for Lasting Relationships. What I'm gathering from you is that there is no reason why we should have 50% of all first marriages ending in divorce. 60-70% of second marriages ending in divorce. 80 to 90 and up third marriages ending in divorce as well. For you, it's like the message is simple. You know, but we make it harder than it should be because of all these, I guess, new age nuances and ideations in this present time.
The bottom line is we got a lot of people who are lazy, and we have a lot of people who want to go off a tradition for something. Let me give you an example, right?
Okay.
So, you know, one of the reasons why that's the 50% divorce rate and actually, 70% in the minority community, right? So, I mean, let's just really think about this. If you line up 10 black couples, right now, statistically, 7 don't make it. I want you to put that on the poster for 1 second. Now, did you ever play ball, James?
I sure did.
Okay, what'd you play?
Played basketball.
Okay, when you played, every now and then you had rivals, right?
Yeah.
The tough teams or whatever.
Right.
How did you practice the week before or 2 weeks before that game?
Man, you geared, that was circled on your calendar right there. You geared up for them.
Okay, and so the practice was just a little bit more intense, right? Because the goal is to win the game, right? So you turn up your practice a little bit, right? Okay. It's not just the coach didn't say, okay, everybody just play.
Nah.
The coach didn't even say, okay, everybody just practice. He gave you some hows, some drills, some different things you had to do to make yourself quicker, faster, shoot better, whatever, free throws, whatever, right?
Right.
All right. So now if you were to go to buy a house, right? You look up the crime in the area, right? And you look up, where the school at, where the hospital at, where the airplane's at, whatever case it be, right? Taxes, right?
Right.
Okay. I can go on and on, but I think you kind of see where I'm going with this, sir, because when we play a game, okay, when we play a sport, we're willing to do the due diligence. If we get a house, we're willing to do the due diligence. If we get a new job, we're looking up the salary and where is it at and how far. But inside of our own marriages, let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. When's the last time you went to counseling? Okay, because you cannot use the same brain that got you in the situation to get you out. You have to use a new brain. Okay, and so that's the same thing with practicing. You got to use a different body style, right? Same thing with getting whatever, right? Well, we have multiple people that are getting divorced, and if you ask, when they go to counseling, right when it gets bad.
Oh yeah.
And they expect that. And then they'll say, well, we went to counseling. Yeah, you did at the 11th hour and 59th minute. That's when you went. You didn't go from day one.
Hey.
You didn't do pre-marriage counseling, right? But in everything else, you do your due diligence. But now you just get married and say, okay, let's just love and trust God. That makes no sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
But inside of our culture, particularly African American culture, it's like, no, you can't go to counseling. That means there's something wrong. There's something wrong with everybody. Okay? Everybody has something wrong with them. And in order for those blind spots to be identified, you have to speak with a third party in order. We'll invest into every other area, but into our own marriages.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? We'll invest into everything else, but even before you get married, you should be in counseling so that you can identify everything about you. You don't know all of you. You don't. Your mother doesn't and your father doesn't either. Not your best friend either, so stop talking to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? You need somebody to be able to pull out blind spots. That's why it's called a blind spot. You can't see it.
That's right.
You think it's there. You don't even know what's going on. So, the injection of that ignorance ongoing into our culture at this point, if there's one thing I could say, whether it's that you seek counsel with James, whether you seek counsel, just go to your job and pull up the in-network people. I don't care. Be in counseling.
Right.
And stay in counseling. Right. And for my believers, it's all up and through the Bible how you need to stay in counseling. You can't just trust God. That's not enough. Okay. It's not enough to just say, I'm just going to pray. There's got to be actions that go after that. Right. You trust God and you pray and you can't even just look. Let's just love. Love is an action. It's not a feeling. So what are the actions that you're going to do? So love and God is not enough to make any marriage work.
Whoa, say that again.
Love and God is not enough to just make any marriage work.
Wow.
And I would love for somebody to find me one person that they say, oh, we just loved and trusted God and we made it.
Wow.
That's a lie. Okay. And so
you just stepped on a lot of people's theology with that one, right?
It doesn't matter. They can't. Who can just right now get on their knees and pray and then stay married for the next 30 years? Who can do that?
I don't know too many.
Show me one person that's done that.
Yeah.
You won't find it. You pray and you have faith and you have faith through those tough times, because what helps you with that is the due diligence that you got before you got into that tough time. Right? You were shaped. That's why it says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye renewed. Well, that means that, you know what? You got to change some stuff. However you were, you're going to have to change it and stop conforming to whatever. And that's the problem. Everybody's conforming to and conceding to, you know what? I don't want to be in, man. What was the next thing you were going to talk about, man?
Hey, man, you go ahead and finish your thought right there, because you're flowing right now. You go ahead and finish your thought.
Man, like these answers, the smarter that we are, like the dumber we are in our homes, right? And it's basics. That's why this book, chapter 1, high standards, stop the madness. Some of these bucket list of people that they want. He's got to be this and that. He's got to be 6 foot. This is start with 6 feet. Okay, 17% of the population is 6 foot taller or higher. So that means you just dropped 83% of the men off of your list. Jesus. We didn't even say what color he is. We didn't even say whether he's godly. We didn't even say whether he's sane. We didn't even say what the money figure is. Okay, because only 9%. What is it? Oh, excuse me. Only 3% of the population makes over 100,000. It's like 9.9 million.
Wow.
Out of the 365 million people that are here. So you starting off with 6 feet, man, you better get you a 5'5" dude that'll love you for life. Stop playing. I'm not 5'5", but you know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, and you can have your preferences and all that, right? I get that. But you know, some of these standards, women want a type of man to make this type of status, this type of money. Do you know you have to be the type of woman to be able to handle that man with that status?
That's what I think is missing today. Is that, you know, who can man work with that type of animal?
Yeah, each type of man has a characteristic that comes with it.
Right.
If you date a ball player, you have to understand there's going to be hundreds of thousands of women throwing pussy at him. You have to be able to deal with that.
Oh my goodness, you ain't lying, bro.
Okay, if you marry a doctor, my line brother is a doctor, emergency room doctor. He works 1 week on, 1 week off.
Right.
For 12 to 13 hours a day. That means that when little Johnny has a soccer game, but you want to have the man that always is at all the, you know, all the stuff with the kids, guess what? For a whole week, he's not available.
Right.
He's saving lives. But you got the picket fence and the house and all this and that. But guess what? You have to be able to handle that week off all by yourself. Because this man is off here saving the world. That's his purpose. You can't say, well, when you get married, want to switch up your schedule. God made that man to be a doctor for the next 30 years. You learn to deal with that or you get out. But if you understood yourself, okay, and that's why in chapter 4 is right, and inside of that chapter, I again talk with the single men because they're explaining, ladies, this is what we really want, right? So phase 1, the biggest phase of it is that you have to understand yourself.
Yes,
first.
Definitely.
So before we even start looking at somebody, you have to understand what you want and the things that you need, right?
Right.
It's phase 2, that's when you're learning about him. Pay attention to his world and see if you can gracefully fit yourself inside of it. Okay? All right? Pay attention to his world. Okay? Because you know your world, right? Because that was phase 1. Right. So now you pay attention to his world, right? And if you can see yourself gracefully going inside of that world, great, right? Phase 3, whatever you see, believe it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to move it. Don't feel like you're going to recreate it. Listen, we're not Play-Doh. Okay, that's for God to do, not you. Right? Understand the nurturing factors that exist inside of you. And you think that, you know, your poo can go up in the air and change them into some magically, deliciously person? No.
Nah.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Especially if he's walking in purpose. If he's just aimlessly out here, you know, that's one thing. And then step 4, make a decision quickly, right? To whether you're going to stay in or get out. Because here's the thing, women have this thing called discernment. So very quickly they can see whether or not the guy is the right type of person. They can see it. The problem is that, you know, the last guy that you was with, his teeth didn't look like this and his sex wasn't like this, or he didn't make this type of money. So now you got somebody that has the teeth and has the money and now you're like, I've got to make this work. Meanwhile, his world does not fit in yours. But you want to stay in there and think that you just going to change him. And now 2-3 years down the road, now when y'all finally break up, you feel like you wasted time. You did. Because you knew in week 3, you knew he was not the person.
Wow. Yeah.
But you started having sex with him. You started having orgasms, which is going to change your mind.
Oh, you can buy. Oh, yes.
Okay. You cannot have orgasms by a man continuously and think your mind is not going to shift. It does. It's supposed to. The reason for the orgasm is for you to push the sperm in the direction of the fallopian tube that released the egg that month. So once you have an orgasm, your brain says this person has a higher probability of siring my children. Remember, that's why you're here, to procreate and continue the species.
Wow.
So Mother Nature sets you up so that when you keep having orgasms, you say, that's the guy I want, because he can give me orgasms, which means that I have a higher probability of having children. Whether you want children or not, that's what you think up here. Subconsciously, you just don't know it. So when you keep having orgasms by a man over and over again, it's called Stigmatized. Okay, that's how you see people in different situations where they're like, how could she not? Why is she still with him? She's stigmatized.
Oh boy. I, I ain't fooling with you, man. But you're right though. You're right though. And I want to add to that, fellas. So y'all hearing these words. As a matter of fact, I advise the fellas, you go get the book yourself and you read it, because there's a lot of information that you can use from this. Also, this is understanding about your own self-awareness and understanding the man, the beast, the animal that is inside of you and is doing the wonderful things that you are. Why in the world would you want somebody to come alongside you and as free and as fast as you need to run, put weights upon you? You know,
Come on.
you can't
Come
do
on.
that. You know,
And I've had a lot of, that's actually the third reason why that the book was for women who haven't had a man in their life, fathers and things of that nature, to kind of give them some insight into things.
right.
It's for women who have had a father in their life or father figure. And, so it kind of blesses some of the things that they've already heard, and also uncovers some other things that they might not have known as well. And then for stage 3, it's also for men to see, when men read it, they're like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just me. Because remember, we haven't been expressing our feelings all these years.
No, we haven't.
Right? So when I have men come up to me and they're talking, to chapter 5, what is nagging? And we break that down to, whereas you all up in my space, you want me to talk to you right now, but you have to pick the time when I'm mentally there, right? Because if you go and you say, just because the commercial between the Houston Rockets and the LA and the Lakers is okay, it's on commercial, so now I want to talk to you. No, I don't. I'm not even here. And I know the topic to you is important. I know. But intimacy, see, if you can see into me, then you would know that I am not mentally here right now. So if you would like to schedule a time when you know that I am mentally here, that's communication, right? That's real intimacy, right? That's being a woman. Okay, because women have the ability to move a man with her words.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be the actions, with her words. And if you don't believe me, we can go back to the first 2 people, Adam and Eve. She did not put the apple in his mouth. She suggested it.
Uh-huh.
So women have the power of suggestion, to whereas we will move, but you have to know how to suggest that. And that's femininity. And if you're maximizing your femininity, a woman can move a man like a chess piece all day long through her words. If she has learned to maximize being a woman. But most of them don't. Okay? So you think that you can do it through nagging, fussing, and you really think that's registering with me? It's not.
Yeah.
But your grandmama knew how to do it without nagging, without raising her voice. She knew how to do it.
Got it done.
That's a skill set. You need to go back and pick that up, because I know you're more educated than her out there.
Right.
Not in the house. You're not. Okay? So you need some refresher courses. And I think that level of accountability has to sit on is there things that men need to do more of? Yes. And that's why, the next book that I'm actually, it should be out by Black Friday, is Understanding a Man, Memoirs of a Father to His Son. And so I'm speaking to, the young men of the world and the early adulthood, and kind of just shaping some areas that we missed, right? While some of us go over here and kind of, re-raise some things, I don't need women to get dumb. Like, y'all are getting dumb in homes, right? And don't do that. You got to become a little bit smarter, right? And in doing that, you have to personally develop yourself, right? I love how I have a couple of friends, and I just throw, very good friend of mine, her name is Joy Stokes. She's currently Joy Stokes. She used to be Joy Pearson, right? Very pretty girl, rock and roll, college educated, right? Doing her thing. But there was a point where she said, you know what, I had to just sit down and get myself right for like 2 years. And she was reading in conferences and things of that nature. Now she's not Joy Pearson, she's Joy Stokes, because she went up here and attacked the biggest enemy, which was herself, right? And fine-tune herself, and then God will send you your blessing when you're ready. Okay, that's something that these websites can't bring you. When you're clicking on all the stuff and swiping left and swipe, they can't bring you that.
Right.
Or it will bring you who you currently are. See, that one right there, we can spend another hour on that.
Yeah.
A lot of you are being brought who you are.
Yeah.
Just in a different form.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yes, he might have cheated on you, but if I went up here and had a little conversation, there's a gap that you have. That's why you keep picking people who cheat on you.
True. Man, dude, I can't wait for, man, that one on the brothers come out Black Friday. Man,
Yeah.
that's gonna be awesome, because I think that in this day and age, men, we have so many different messages coming across, especially with our young men. We're taught to be providers, be protectors, but B,
Right.
we're taught to be emotionally soft, and sometimes I call it moist. To the point where we're not able to, do what needs to be done in the times that need to be done. And it's like it's not no dog in the fight. And the fact, and unfortunately, it is not leading to the amount of assertiveness that
Right.
needs to take place in certain relationships. And so then you go down this line for a couple years or so, off and on, and then all of a sudden she steps out for this Neanderthal, man, that's around the corner, who can't do anything for her, man, pretty much, man. It's weird. And so what we have to get into the space now is, fellas, you got to be you regardless of what she does. And you have to stand firm of that. You don't have to doubt yourself. You don't have to look in or buy into what society says you should not do. But you have to get into the spot where, I'm a man, regardless of the days it goes. And you can't fixate your life based on her behaviors or anything like that, because that's when you mess up.
No, I think that's why, when people, there's so many, colloquialisms that we just use over the years, like, my better half. No, you're better whole. Two halves make hell. Two wholes make heaven. Yeah. So if you meet somebody and you want to say that you're only half a person and they're the other half, you are the problem. Yeah. Okay? Because how are you going to teach me how to love you when you haven't figured out how to love yourself? I don't understand that. I'm not going to, if I come into this relationship loving you like the last person that I love, wouldn't you say that's a little disrespectful? Yeah. Okay? That I could, 17% of women, climax from vaginal penetration. The rest need direct clitoral stimulation. So if I meet you, lady, and I sex you the same way I sex the last person, well, I got an 83% chance of getting this wrong. How am I going to know how to stimulate you if you don't know your own body? You just think I'm just supposed to and just get it right? No. If you give me head the way the last person did, and they was, what I'm saying? Like, you have to know each person is different, right? And you have to be willing to do that due diligence and all that, what is that, hopeless romantic? Like, you just gonna meet the person, they just know you and love you and just ride off. It's a lie.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a lie, watch this. If it wasn't a lie, you read off the stats of 50% divorce rate.
Yeah.
That means half of every single person. Two people get married, one gonna get divorced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on now. We can't say that I'm wrong here, because according to the stats, everybody's out there hopelessly, romantically, them things right into divorce court.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we gotta kind of peel back some of these pieces and say, you know what, this sound good, right? Like we grew up thinking that the money is the root of all evil. That's not true. It's the love of money. We missed the whole word.
Yeah.
That changes the entire statement.
Yeah.
Right? So, it used to work back in the day. So you know what? You could eat chitlins back in the day too. Okay. That's because that's all that we had. Okay. You don't have to eat them anymore. Don't tell me about that as cultural. You don't have to do it. Okay. It's not really good for your body. Okay. But because you grew up on a grandmama used to eat them, and God was protecting them eating them chitlins. He ain't protecting y'all eating them chitlins now. Because you ain't got to do it. I'm sorry, I'm having fun now.
Man, dude, I ain't fooling with you. I ain't laugh so much, man. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we got Mr. Elam King, man, author and creator of Understanding a Man, Empowering Women with Tools for Lasting Relationships. Man, dude, I can go a whole nother moment with you, man, but I'll talk to you about that off wax.
We can do part 2. It's all good.
We can do part. Man, tell these individuals how to get in contact with you.
Well, first of all, James, thank you so much for even just having me be a part of your platform. I appreciate that. You're making me want to get a new chair because that velvet.
I
Blue
told
suede.
you, man, I told you,
No,
every king need a throne.
you're right. No, when you say that, but see, that's resonating right there. I'm like, I gotta get another chair now. I gotta check. So I want to appreciate James for stepping my chair game up. I'm about to be on Amazon when we get off of here and see what I can fill out. But of course you can always, my website is understandingaman.com. If you want to look to have an autographed copy, of course it's available on Amazon and actually on audio on Audible as well. So for those of you who don't like to read, just sit down, as I'm one of those people. That's why I put it on Audible so I could listen to it. So it's available. Understanding a Man is available there as well. Of course, on social media, you can follow me at Elam V King, ELAM-V King, King, and on Facebook under Understanding a Man. On Facebook page is Understanding a Man. And I think, that's pretty much the majority. Our YouTube as well. There's a lot of videos that's available on there. So you can feel free. Actually, all my podcasts are on there. And in addition to, I guess, my podcast as well, Understanding a Man podcast available on Anchor and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Overcast and all the casts that's out there. But we definitely talk about similar topics, same as James. I want to thank you for even being in this space because this is information that really needs to be out there.
Yeah,
I'll say real quickly, a friend of mine, I won't say his name because he called me when I was coming from church today, and he said, he's in a totally different space right now. And he said a young lady was talking to him about him doing some relationship coaching. And so he was like, man, I already got my homeboy. He's, rocking and rolling in that space. And the first thing I said to him is that, man, we need you. Like, we're not in competition. Yeah. James, Elam, I'm saying, I'm a homeboy, and the small amount of other people. How are ladies going to know if we don't start talking? Right. The problem is we haven't been talking because we were told to not talk. So then they have been coming up with and if you don't show up for a woman's dialogue, she will come up with her own monologue and hold you accountable to exactly what it is.
Yes, sir.
So it's our time now to be able to bring some dialogue forward so that at least you can say you heard it from the horse's mouth versus it being created. So I want to thank you, James, of just walking in this space and keep doing, amazing things, man.
Appreciate you, man. You already know when that next book come out, we definitely, man, have to follow up on this one, man. Because we got to hear what you're saying to the brothers specifically about some of these shenanigans that they have been perpetuating in our society currently.
Yeah, and that's really what it is.
And it's and you know what? A lot of this stuff is because they don't know. And that's why we got good brothers, man. Put it out there and say, nah, go right instead of left.
Right.
Change your life.
Right, they change your life.
Man, thanks again, once again, brother. What's burning on the bushes next? All right, man. Hey, dude, I enjoyed that, man. I enjoyed that. Because, dude, you said so much that I myself,
you say you yourself what?
I myself have felt some of those same sentiments.